Hey guys, just here with another comic review, another comic that was sent to me by my good friend Chris, aka the Mount Vernon Kid. Chris, thank you so much for this comic, and yeah, so almost done with the first haul of books. Got this one, well, we're reviewing this one, and then we got one more, and then that pile is done. But Chris has informed me that the next one, which will be a mix of Marvel, DC, and independent books, will be coming before the month's out. So, Chris, thank you once again for these books and future ones. Other than that, let's get started with this this comic. And what are we reviewing today? We are reviewing Superman: Warworld Rising. This is the event from Philip J. Kennedy, who's kind of made himself got himself a big name over at Marvel and DC. Kennedy had been writing the Alien comics for Marvel, which I've really enjoyed, and I was very curious to see what this Warworld saga would be like. I really love Mongul as a villain. I think he's a very underrated Superman villain. If I was to ever do like a top 10 Superman villains, I would probably rank Mongul in like the top, like he'd definitely be in the top 10 list. Maybe even crack the top 5, we'll see. But this was supposed to be like a giant overarching saga. And it took 3 books to tell. It's the best way to describe it is like a Planet Hulk version with Superman. It's like DC's Planet Hulk, but instead of Bruce, it's Clark. So I really do like this. So this is the first arc of this story called Warworld Rising, and this has basically been built like this Superman story been built up a lot through a lot of the Action comic books, and is more or less like the culmination of several things. Like Superman had teamed up with the Authority to go and battle Mongul because he knows that Warworld is coming and is going to be an immediate threat. And it's almost like Superman's White Whale. So this is like the opening salvo of that. Like this doesn't. Mongul is kind of like in the background. The story is that Superman, who is dealing with radiation poisoning that's depleting a lot of his power, does know that Warworld is coming. He knows that the war between Earth and Warworld is going to be big. And the other thing is, too, is that this isn't the Mongul he knows. That Mongul is dead. This is his son, also named Mongul. That's the thing, is that they refer to him as the Mongul who was, the previous Mongul, the one that Superman fought, as the Mongul who was. This one is the Mongul who is. And I like what they do with Mongul, in that he is just this brutal slave owner, and he is just ruthless. He's dangerous, and he is almost like it's a guy who can go toe to toe with Superman. Of course, he needs to be like a savage, just an outright savage. So the story is that Superman, who is preparing to leave for Warworld, or at least trying to get the League's help in battling Warworld, finds a fleet of Warworld ships trying to shoot at a group of refugees who are like a race of ancient Kryptonians who have been enslaved by Mongul. From there, he meets a young woman named Theo who has been branded with the House of L, more or less like for psychological warfare, and she is a poor messed up girl. It is a very tragic story, and there's also the overarching thing that the ship carried an unknown element that is almost like Lovecraftian in nature, because it crash lands into the ocean and leads to a conflict between the U.S. and Atlantis. So that's kind of what it is that we have a lot of things going on in this first book, really. Like, it is really a big amalgamation of several different things, where it is like Superman, he's losing his powers, but also he's getting ready to battle Warworld because he knows Warworld is a immediate threat. He also understands the risks of what Warworld will bring. Not only that, we now have this conflict between Atlantis and the US over an energy source from an alien world, and there's other Kryptonians out there, which has been a done-to-death thing of other Kryptonians, but I think as long as you do it right, I think you can still do that story, as long as you make it interesting, and so far, this has been interesting so far. This comic is it does a lot in 6 issues, and I think Philip J. Kennedy really knows how to balance it all, and I think he's a great voice for Superman, in that Superman, while he's desperate, and he knows that a battle between him and Mongol is like him and Mongol are on a collision course. He's still Superman. Like, he knows what is right, and he understands that, you know, while he's being drastic, he never loses who he is. I also like the attention to detail with him and his son, John, who they do bring up the Bendis stuff of like, hey, yeah, he hung out with the Legion of Superheroes for a bit, and John is worried that this is the time where Superman Superman disappears. Because this is where we're getting to that moment where Superman is said to disappear. Obviously, that doesn't happen, but that's neither here nor there. This was pretty cool. I will say that everything goes to 11 really fast, in that the whole conflict between Earth and the U.S. and Atlantis is like, it feels really like it went to 11, and is pretty interesting because like and even Superman's like, guys, Warworld is coming, it's the more immediate threat. It's like, no, the war between, you know, a war between Atlantis, it might happen, we don't want that. And even Arthur's like, no, like, this energy source belongs to Atlantis, if you do anything, it's going to be open war. I'm like, whoa, this went to 11 really fast. I don't, now, again, maybe they've explained it in the other books, but as it stands, I'm kind of leaning towards this energy source, which is kind of Lovecraftian in nature, is just fucking with everyone's minds, and that's what's causing everyone to just be erratic. Because we're dealing with, like, this is almost like a Marvel comic, where it's like everyone is just being erratic on the team, and everyone's like all over the place. Yes, as a Marvel fan, I am saying shots fired right now. But yeah, I was like, am I reading a Justice League book, or am I reading a Avengers book right now? Because I feel like this is something that would happen, because like, Arthur, you're Aquaman. Your name isn't Namor. Relax. Because it really, yeah, it really did feel like I was reading some Namor dialogue right about there. Anyway, all in all, this was a great start to the series. There's a lot of love between Clark and Lois. A lot of stuff between him and his son. It's a great... So far, this has been a great opening act to this Warworld saga, and I'm really excited for the second book. And I know the third book comes out later this month, if not... I believe it comes out like March 1st. Not sure, but I will be... At least, like, I won't have to wait long for this series to end. At least I'll have that. So yeah, there you go, guys. If you guys haven't already, go check this out. If you're looking for a good Superman story, I really do recommend this. I know, like, it's been hard to find good Superman books since Bendis got his fingers all over it after the Tomasi run, but I highly recommend giving Philip Kennedy Johnson a look at this series. So yeah, highly recommend it, and once again, I'd like to thank my good friend Chris for sending me this book. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.